Welcome, Andreas, to Metallarium Pages. It's a tremendous pleasure to speak with you about Vintersorg, this new album, Vattenkraft. I don't know how to pronounce Swedish, so
Yeah.
Vattenkraftners spell, so I think is the correct
Yeah.
pronunciation. So, and obviously many more things related to the metal war in general. So we started by asking, how are you doing today, and how is the band during the last couple of years? Because the previous album, Teals Falls the second, was released in 2017.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm fine. Quite occupied with a lot of stuff regarding the release, of course, and this is really nice to be here and talk about it. Yeah, of course, it has taken us some time. It's actually 8 years since the last release. It was not in plan, taking so long. I guess life happened, so
Mhm.
to speak. A lot of stuff going on the kind of family side, work side, and stuff like that. So, we have this, yeah, music is for us not our daily job and stuff like that. So it taken us a little bit longer than we wanted. Uh, I've written songs throughout all these years, and I've been doing albums with other bands, and the other guys in the band have done albums with other bands. So we have been very occupied. But some years ago, we were like, okay, now it's time to get Vintersorg going in again with a new album. And by then, we just found out, okay, our the contract we had with Napalm has run out. We didn't really understood that until we were starting to really get into the recording phase.
Mhm.
So, then we ended up not going further with them. And then we needed to, okay, now we go need to hold this process to finding a new label and stuff like that. So it took us actually, I guess, 1.5 years, something like that, extra. So, but all in all, I've done like 3, 4 albums with other bands during this time, and the other guys have done other albums as well. So, and of course, it takes us a little bit longer than we wanted, but at least now we're here, and now we are back on a really strong focus on Vintersorg. So it will not be another 8 years before next album, I guess. Well, I
Okay.
can promise that.
Okay, great, okay. So then this kind of situation of the composition process for this new album.
Yep.
So when it was the exact time to create all the things or all the songs, the lyrics for this new album, when it especially started? So perhaps during the pandemic you have more free time. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a little bit hard time to
Mhm.
tell exactly when the process started. As I said, I've done so many things with other bands during this time. I guess it was some uh, probably 3, 4 years ago. I started to write songs for this album, or maybe some songs were lying there also even before. It's a kind of a little bit of floating. I don't exactly know. Okay, now I've started to write the album, but I haven't really waited around to get everything. When I write songs, I write it quite fast. I always write one song in one session. I don't just write two riffs and then another two riffs another day. I always write a whole song in one session. So in that sense, it didn't take us so long to write. It didn't take me so long to write the whole album. But it was all the other stuff around it. We didn't have a record company and stuff like that. So took us much longer time than that. But it was really nice process at least to write it. We knew that we were going to do this kind of last album in this kind of 4 element cycle that we have done, and this is kind of the last element. This is kind of the water element. We did the earth, the air, and the fire before. Now it was the water element, and we knew that, okay, well, I knew that this is going to be something really nice. I want to make it sound like should have, as I always think, of course, as an album, it should have this very strong connection between the songs. It's going to be have this kind of theme.
Mhm.
But I just wanted to dig into that theme from a lot of different angles. So it's a lot of also throughout the album, it's kind of a lot of variations as well. But it was really nice process. Also, for me, lyrics is equally important as the music. So I spend really a lot of time on writing the lyrics. And the lyrics is, yeah, in my mother tongue, and I write them this kind of How should I put it? It's more kind of this poems in a rhyming style. So, and I always write them as kind of in a chronological kind of sense, storytelling. So there's a lot of kind of techniques in the writing process of lyrics, but it's also, of course, the most important is, of course, the content of them. But it's been a very inspiring process. And then, yeah, started just to record it, and I guess it was all there. As I said, took us a little bit longer time than we wanted, but the whole recording process was really fun, and yeah, it was really fun. It was an easy process to record it. Uh, but it's a lot
Okay.
of layers. It's a lot of stuff going on. So also recording, yeah, even if it's went very fluidly, takes a little bit of time, of course.
Okay. I understand. So you said it. Your previous 10 albums were released with Napalm Records. Now
Yeah.
this new album is released with Hammerheart Records. So how do you how it is the sensation to work with a new label since a long time you are not working with a different one? It is the same sensation that you were the first time with Napalm Records when your first album was released?
Yeah, actually, I've been working with Hammerheart before, but that was 20
Mhm.
years ago with another band called Havajalf. We did one album with me and some other guys from Nagelfar. And yeah, it has been a really nice experience. I really love the guys at Hammerheart. They're very dedicated. They're very inspiring as a company. They are pushing very hard, and they are also very easy to work with. They also understand the integrity of the band, but they never like try me to compromise on quality, compromise on IDs, stuff like that. Instead, they are like pushing, okay, we should do more. We should do another kind of vinyl set. We should do a box set. We should do that and that. So they are very inspiring. So it's been a really good way. Yeah, it's been a very good opportunity to kind of break the cycle and start to work with some other. I have no bad stuff to say about Napalm. Napalm has served us really, really good throughout all the years. I've been there for like 27 years or something like that, very long time. But Vintersorg, I guess, uh, how should I put it? Napalm have turned into quite a big label, and they also are very fond of all the bands they have. They're going to do a lot of touring. Vintersorg has never been a band that goes on long tours, and we are not that type of band. And but now also, I mean, I had a really good discussion with Napalm, and they were like, "You should actually talk with Hammerheart. I think they will suit you even better." And also, nowadays, I guess Hammerheart is a kind of, I should put it, nearly kind of a sub-label on Napalm because they have the Napalm sort of distribution and a lot of cooperations with them. So that was we landed in a very perfect situation, I guess, and it's been very yeah, inspiring to start a new kind of collaboration. But I also started that even a little bit before with my other band, this kind of solo album. I did kind of more acoustic stuff on the dim build. I did the album last year with Hammerheart. But I signed the deal both for dim build and Vintersorg at the same time. So yeah, we are very just happy with it. Very inspiring. They are helping us a lot. They're setting up a lot of interviews and stuff like that. So I'm yeah, perfect.
Mm, okay. Well, one thing I want to ask you because all the time when I try to find like more presentations or live concerts from Wintersorg, they're like selected. You cannot
Yeah,
find like, for example, full tours, full gigs, etc., in this situation. And also you participate with a lot of bands, Bornagar, you said Havayot,
yeah.
and all things band. So and why always Wintersorg is not this approach to full to do full line tours and this one for example to came to Latin America and a full line Latin tour, who knows, because
Yeah,
I think mostly the people expect this situation with for all to hear the band in a full tour.
yeah, yeah. We have always had a little bit problem with that because I mean, Wintersorg. I started Wintersorg as a kind of a solo project. I did like 3 albums by myself. Then I invited my old-time friend Matthias, has been my kind of yeah, he's my childhood friend. We have been together in playing together and been friends since childhood. And some years ago, we invited the bass player Simon, but still we are still just a three-piece band. We always need to have session members in, and we are living in a very kind of remote area where we live. There's not a lot of musicians that we could just get in the band. Of course, we could have people from other places, other countries, but you know, always need this kind of more kind of local setup if you're going to rehearse and stuff like that. So and another situation has also been I have always kind of have quite difficulties to take time off from work. I've had this kind of many times I've had this kind of key positions at my workplace, so I've had a lot of problems just to get time off from work to do long touring. So it's and also of course family situation before when my kids were smaller. So it was a lot of different stuff that added up that we couldn't really do this kind of longer term. We did some touring like in Europe back in the beginning of the 20th century, but the 21st century. But and then we have had a long silence, not doing any live show. But now at least we are doing like I guess five festivals a year or something like that.
Mhm.
And we did something in the summer. Now we're doing in a month. We're doing here in Sweden some festivals, and then we for next year we're aiming for a little bit more kind of festivals. So we'll see. But I guess that's about it. We don't. I have never had music and the band as my kind of full-time job. And that has also been kind of by very conscious decision because for me music is about passion. It's
Mhm.
purely about passion. It's just purely for me about art. If I would have this as a kind of full-time job, I mean, then you need to always think about, okay, the money has to come in. Then probably you need to do some compromising a bit, study different type of stuff. Well, you could at least add up in that kind of situation. And for
Mhm.
me, I always taken my art so very serious. So for me, it's been like, okay, I have a daytime job, and my passion outside job is my music. So that setup has been very, very fruitful for me as a kind of musician and composer and producer and everything. But of course, then it's harder to do this a lot of touring.
Okay. Okay, I understand. I
Yeah,
understand completely. So now, well, since the beginning, you spoke, as you said it, in your mother tongue. Now you continue with this legacy, and also I think you into the black metal. You are like the first bands that did one. And since if we're talking about since the 90s, now
yeah,
there's a lot of things related with this concept: Viking metal, folk Viking metal. I don't know. You can see there is a lot
yeah,
of labels, or just especially for the reviewers or for the people. But for me, you play like always. For me, you be a like progressive black metal stuff. I don't think that Viking metal exists like genre. It's more like I don't know, like the lyrics, because I
yeah,
cannot relate the Viking sound with a metal situation. So that's for me. And this situation, what's your opinion about this topic? Well, because you were there when this situation, the Viking metal started
yeah,
in the world, and now
yeah,
there's like a huge movement in the world.
yeah. Well, I don't know really well, I think about it. I mean, people can label themselves and their bands whatever, and I think it's if you find your own label, that's nice. I have not really, for me, it's always been very hard to label Vintersorg what we are. We're not we are not Viking metal, we are not black metal, we are not progressive metal. I mean, it's a combination of different type of stuff. I mean, we have this kind of progressive element, but we also a lot of have this kind of more kind of acoustic folky element, and we also have the black metal element. For me, that's been the crucial part for composing music. I liked all those three. I mean, I like the more kind of a little bit progressive stuff. I like really this kind of folk, this kind of really big epic choir kind of chorus parts and stuff like that. That you could also find more maybe in some Viking metal, if you call it that. So I don't know about labels. People can label it like whatever they like. Lyrics for me has never really, but of course we have had some kind of historical back in the old days, some kind of historical lyrics where some Viking themes were going on, and that's an era that's also very interesting in many aspects. But for me, also the Vintersorg lyric has been much more about, and it's purely nearly about man in relation with nature, and that's we just taking that into different angles on each and every album. I mean, man is a part of nature. Nature, you can see nature as a very kind of small, a very vast type of topic. I mean, many times we have been focused on nature on Earth. Then we did some albums that we took it much further, kind of more kind of a cosmological perspective, but always kind of man in the center. It's not just about nature itself. It's like the relation between man and nature. We are a part of nature. Nature exists in our mind, exists by that we are living in nature. Nature could also exist as a physical thing, but also I'm so very interested in this kind of relation because on a kind of a philosophical level as well, uh, what you develop as a human, how can you express that development? How do you understand your positions in a much larger context and stuff like that? So, Winter lyrics is always about this kind of man and nature relationship. But then we could twist that into kind of a little bit more historical context. Then we have done some albums in more kind of scientific concept
Mhm.
around it. And I guess nowadays on this new album, it's quite a lot about yeah, this is so very thematic on this kind of water element, all the different type of angles when you where you can experience water in natural surrounding. It's the ice, it's the fog, it's the ocean, it's the rain, it's everything like, but always like through this kind of human lens, and what how it affects the human being. So it's not just kind of poetic rhymes about nature itself. It's always like with a kind of a human-centric approach.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, that is one,
Yeah.
yeah, all the time. That is interesting point. But one thing that is, yes, that might capture my attention because all the time your
Mhm.
first since your first EP in 1998, you spoke in your mother tongue. So the
Yeah.
first album, the second album, the rest of the albums released,
Yeah.
but just three albums has the title on English: Cosmic Genesis, Vision from the Spiral Generator,
Yeah.
and The Focus in Blur. That's three albums. And curious thing, for most people, especially for me, Vision of the Spiral Generator is one of the greatest records. Love that record.
Yeah.
With think it's an amazing record. So why did you decide at that moment to just put that three records in English, the title
Yeah.
especially?
I guess that is about who I am in person. I'm a curious guy. I'm always looking for some kind of exploration and new, trying to find new angles, trying to find new things to write about, trying to get a little bit different new approach in each and every album. I guess after the EP and the two first full-length album, I wrote actually a third full-length album in the kind of the same style as Ödemark and so on. But I felt that like now I felt like okay, now I'm just going in the kind of same path that the last album, and I wanted to do something more fresh and more explore a little bit different side. So therefore, I was searching for that in the sense that I was like, okay, I've written in Swedish for many years now. Trying to write something in English, it felt a little bit fresh at the time, and also the Cosmic Genesis album, that kind of transition into a little bit more progressive, also thematic. It was kind of a big leap in one sense. I mean, the music changed a little bit, the lyrics changed a little bit, the language changed totally. You could say, but still we have two Swedish songs on that album. Uh, and then on the Visions from the Spider Generator, I mean, from the Cosmic Chance, we opened a little bit of a new door. Then we just took that a little bit further on the Visions from Spider Generator album, at least quite some steps further. And then on the Focus in Blur, I guess we peaked that kind of thing, even much more progressive in a sense. Uh, the lyric was very complex on a kind of more philosophical, yeah, way. And but after that, I was kind of peaking that, and then I was feeling like, okay, now we're taking that a little bit to the extreme. Then I wanted to do something a little bit different again, and then did the Solens Rött. It was kind of a little bit of a transition back to something a little bit of an earlier kind of approach. writing in Swedish again felt, because I was missing writing in Swedish in my mother tongue. And at that time, I was also and the vocalist in Borknagar, we were singing in English. So I always also had that at the same time. But so I guess that was also starting to really miss to writing my mother tongue. And yeah, that's so it felt it was not so much calculation. It was much just about feelings. It was like it felt very natural to go back to writing Swedish. I was missing that.
Mhm.
And then the music was also like we had taken it a little bit to the extreme with focusing Blur. I was kind of longing for a little bit more kind of epic, melodic, melodic in this kind of more folk melodic way. So therefore, a little bit of a switch again. And now we have had a little bit on the same pace. Some albums and the Element albums is kind of well, they are different within them, of course. Also within each and every album, you have a lot of variations. But now we have kind of closed the four element cycles, and now it's kind of open again. But as for now, I feel that we are in a really good kind of landscape where I like to write songs. So I guess next album. Well, actually, we are already recording the next album, so it's not going to take us 8 years again.
Okay.
And that goes a little bit hand in hand in this style we have on this new album. Yeah, but I guess that's all in all what it's all about. I always like to find a new challenge. I always like to kind of I'm a curious guy. I want to learn new stuff. I want to explore new sides of my musical entity. So therefore, if I do a lot of albums in the kind of same style, I will get fed up, and then I need to try something new.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Well, in the situation, I understand why. Usually in Vision for Spiral Generator and the Focusing Blur, you use a drummer at that
Yeah, yeah,
moment because
yeah, yeah,
the other albums don't have this just a drum programming, and even the last one is with the drum programming. You programming that one,
yeah,
so I understand now why you always try to come on. You try to evolve in your music or try to
yeah, yeah.
different things in this
Mm.
situation. Now, if we related with this topic of your discography, for you, which album is for or albums for you are the biggest milestone in the Vintersorg career for you?
Oh. That's a $1 million question. So, I mean, I don't know. The first album, the first full length album, Till Fjälls will always be a kind of a milestone in a sense that it's always going to be kind of our classic one, and we always play songs from that when we're playing live, and that's really, and I'm really proud of that legacy. It's not something that I don't want to go back to. But of course, it's been a long time. It's been like, yeah, 20, 20 plus many years since that album. But still, there are some really good stuff on that album. But then, of course, Visions is like that type of, well, Cosmic Genesis was that kind of a defining album when we did a new step. So it's very hard to just to pick one. But if I would just only pick one, I would say Till Fjälls, the first full length, is kind of a trademark album for Vintersorg, where we were then, and also really good representation where we are a little bit now. But we are playing different now, but still, you, I mean, you can define Vintersorg by the Till Fjälls album if you just want one one single album. I guess that one is something that we can't escape, and we don't want to escape. We are very proud of that album, and it was really nice because it was a little bit. Uh, I mean, at that time, people didn't really put that music out that much. So, and I guess I was really one of the first starting to mix this kind of folk, black metal, especially also singing in Swedish. Back then, a lot of people were like teasing me, "Why are you singing in Swedish? And you have acoustic guitars on the black metal album." And nowadays, this is just normal stuff, of course.
Mhm. Oh,
But back
okay.
then it was, yeah. Back then it was kind of, yeah. Back then it was kind of dramatic in a way. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So you are like Vintersorg is like the example how to mix the music with a different things, or especially the heavy metal stuff, because we are metal, the metal stuff
Yeah.
with the different themes. You mix with black, you mix, you said it progressive, you did something folk in some albums, and also you mix everything. So and for this one, as you are one of the biggest examples in the metal world, that is the metal is possible to be like to mix with different styles. Why always the metal has this kind of approach to be like a chameleonic? Because if you can hear the pop, if you can hear the country or a different kind of music, if you, for example, mix country with jazz, it's impossible. It's impossible. You cannot
Yeah.
find. But the metal, you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Also, in focusing blur, you have elements from jazz, so that's why
Yeah.
you mix everything. But continue saying that Winterso plays metal.
Yeah. I will always say that we play metal in a sense. As you say, I have thought about that a lot, of course. I don't know why it should be because but metal have also in different periods, metal, depending on metal genre, it also been you have to be true. You only has to write this type of music. You only has to be set like this. But I have never had this kind of mindset. For me, it's like I have write music, but I love metal as a kind of a foundation for the things that I write. But I also have, I mean, I like acoustic music, so I have different kind of outputs for different kind of stuff. I mean, my Water Climb album is very progressive 70s rock, progressive kind of symphonic stuff. But so Vintersorg has been a really good. I mean, I love black metal still today. I really enjoy harsh black metal, uh, and I can really go back and listen to these really harsh black metal albums from the 90s. They're super great. But when I write music myself, I always aim for a kind of adventurous music, and in that means that it's going to be a little bit different. I want each songs to be a little bit up and down, going a little bit into a kind of a journey. So when I write music myself, I always like to have a little bit of different elements, and for Winter Stories, just feels very very natural. But as you said, if you take a blues, if you would do that in blues music or country music, probably people wouldn't really. So in that sense, metal heads are really open-minded to try to find new kind of ways of listening to music and find new ways of kind of putting music together. And for me, I don't know. I don't have any really super great answer more than it feels just very natural. And as I said earlier, I just go by passion, by heart. I don't calculate it much.
Okay, okay. Now, well, you said it. Since the beginning, you started the band by yourself. The first three, although the first two albums are completely done by you. The bass, the guitar, the keyboards, and obviously,
Yeah,
well, at that moment, Marcus helped you with the drum programming in the
yeah,
first two albums from Vintersorg, and in this one. So, but now, as you can see, there's a new tool. For example, but for me, it's not like a new tool. It's not intelligence. We are talking about from the AI. Now the
yeah,
world is like in impact with this situation that they will take in jobs and etc etc. So now, as you are all the time like be an innovator in your music or try to prove new things. So in the future, you will see using this new technology like AI for a composition process with Vinterso because you are the essence for them in the Vinterso. But perhaps you will use for the future this kind of technology that is like a revolution in the world, especially in the
yeah,
music.
yeah. I don't know. Uh, I work in my daytime job. I work as an AI coordinator. So I work with AI all day long, but in music, I haven't used that so far. But I would never. I have said so many times in the past, I would never do this and that. Would never do that and this. I mean, the AI technology is fantastic in many sense. It can do a lot of automation and heavy weightlifting in many aspects when you don't want to do this sort of kind of boring, repetitive stuff. But for me, I think I always like. I mean, all this kind of generative AI is cool. We can use it for a lot of things. But I'm also a little bit more old school. I really love if you're just talking about AI, more this kind of machine learning, but you can do a lot of kind of prognosis. Yeah, a lot in the healthcare, whatever. But for me, I think that's where I want the AI to do the heavy weightlifting, with all this kind of repetitive processes in the society that we humans should. So for me, we humans should focus more on this kind of more creative parts. But nowadays, I feel that the generative AI have taken a little bit that role, and that's a little bit kind of worrying in that sense. I mean, now we use a lot of AI for the creative stuff, and
Mhm.
for 3 years ago, we were thinking like, but AI should do all this boring stuff. But
Mhm.
now we have turned that around. So the AI doing the creative stuff, and man is doing all this kind of boring stuff. But
Mhm.
I would like it to have a little bit of the other way around. That yeah, we should do generative AI when it's suitable and stuff like that. But for me, music is so much about passion, be creative.
Mhm.
But of course, you can have smart tools. I mean, I don't record on a tape recorder. I record in a digital environment. So in that sense, we all are using this kind of modern tools.
Mhm.
And nowadays, they build in AI kind of capabilities in all of different plugins and stuff like that. And of course, if the AI can be there and help out in the technology thing, that's probably great. But at least for now, but as I said, shouldn't say that forever and ever should be. I will do that. But for me, I I like to write the music myself because that's the whole thing for me with music and lyrics. I mean, to actually be that creative force to yeah have that inspiration and get that output. So in the creative process, I don't think I will use AI, not in a foreseeable future in that sense, but
Mhm.
in the recordings situation, I mean, there are already now a lot of built-in AI capabilities in this kind of recording gear.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So we are very close to
Yep.
the interview, this Andreas. And for this, well, what kind of promotion do you have for this new album? Perhaps you will present more videos. Perhaps you will. So no, perhaps you will release a full Latin American tour. Who knows? Who knows? There's a lot of options. Who knows? So what kind
Yeah.
of plans do you have for Winters on this new album?
Yeah. We should have this really big master plan doing a lot of touring, but we don't. Now, but the plan is now the album comes out. I will do a lot of talking about the album, trying to meet people and talk about the album. We will come out and do some festivals. So maybe I guess for the next album we will plan it a little bit more kind of in depth with more videos and stuff like that because I know that people want to have that and I always also love that myself. But this time around we didn't actually do that much in that sense. But I will do a lot of talking about the album. We'll do some festivals and yeah, and actually I'm very, very active on social media with the fans, and so I put up new stuff each and every day, talk with a lot of fans all over the world. It's really great opportunity to have that really close connection with yeah, with fans and people who like our music. And actually I always put up times a week, just new snippets of music that I create. I mean, I write music on a daily basis. I write songs on a daily basis, and I really like just to. Okay, I wrote this 3 minutes ago on an acoustic guitar, and I recorded it with my phone, and then I put it out. Just a small thing, and to talk with the fans about would you think about this one, and yeah, get a really good response on that. So really been pacing up the kind of social media, and that's been very, very fruitful for me as a person as well. Then I understand, okay, people are thinking about this music in that kind of way and stuff like that. So it's,
Mhm.
I mean, that's kind of the situation we have right now. We're not going to have this long touring, but now we are working and recording a new album as well as now this new album. This album comes out, so it's a lot of activity. Uh, but yeah, and that's I guess where we are right now. Maybe further on we can do a little bit more touring, hopefully.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. So, and one of the last
Yep.
questions for this interview, Andreas, is now.
Yep.
So, as you were there when obviously when the black metal or the black metal from a the black metal from Sweden started in this kind of in industry. So now you can see there's a lot of bands are continue receiving your influence from the 90s, like Dissection, Vintersorg, Dark Funeral, Marduk, and etc. And there is a new tendency for the you can see like the hoods and masks in the black metal
Yeah.
because now the black
Yeah.
metal is like tendance now.
Yeah.
So what kind of opinion do you have since you started to hear the first albums from the Battery and you were there when everything exploded in
Mm.
Sweden and now you have this like the Hood and Max and all now all the black metal bands are misanthropic people so that I don't know why so that
Yeah. Yeah. Well, back then, I guess some were very misanthropic, and at least were pretending to be misanthropic, and some were not. I guess back then also, I've never been this kind of misanthropic person. I always like cherished life in many aspects, but I always like kind of brutal music. I don't know. I don't have any really strong opinions. I guess people find out what they want to do. I see
Mhm.
this trend, as you say, now you need to, there are so many bands around. You need to have this kind of special trademark. You have this mask, you have this and that to really stand out. And I guess people just doing what they think are great to stand out. And I don't have any really strong opinions of that. Do what you want. Uh, Back then it was uh, what's the difference? I guess the market was not that flooded with this kind of course, it was a lot of bands also back then, but nowadays, and but also that's good. I mean, nowadays it's not that big of a threshold to start a band. In my younger days, I mean, it was kind of hard to really get a band going. Yes, to get the gear, to get the rehearsal place, and yes, nowadays you can just yeah. I Everybody has a home studio now. If you have a computer, you have a home studio. So the threshold has been lowered, and that's great in that sense that people can be creative, put music out, and also all the streaming service that we now have nowadays. Back then, it was really hard to get a contract with the record company. But the good thing back then was like really, you really needed to be kind of a great musician to make it all together. And then you had to rehearse very, very much to really because it was also very expensive to go into a studio. So you didn't have the money to be there for like 2 weeks and do stuff. I mean, if you were recording a demo back then, yeah, you didn't. You needed to do a lot of rehearsal before you got to the studio to just go in, do the demo one day. That's where you. I mean, you didn't have the money to more than that. And now every has a studio if you have a computer. So but I don't have but as I'm really positive to that people are creative and put music out, I don't think this is a bad thing. This is kind of a natural, well, I wouldn't say maybe natural, but this have been a kind of a evolvement that as society have this evolved.
Mhm.
So I don't have any strong opinions about it. I love black metal but that's probably just more kind of a nostalgia for me. I love the black metal from the 90s more than the black metal that comes out now. But that's probably just me. I was there when it happened. It's much more kind of from a nostalgic perspective than kind of a quality perspective.
Hmm. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
So, in one, what, and the last question for this interview. So,
yeah,
as you were there, so there's many people trying to see one because I remember when you were with Bornagar and you released Winter
yeah,
and Try, a great album. A lot of people wants to see this album with you, Lars, and Vortex. For me, when it's like a lot, I just spoke with a lot of fans, and that's like
yeah,
a dream. So sometimes we will see these three vocals because they amazing sounds you three. Then you have another projects with
yeah,
Havayot, and now it's obviously releasing by the label, etc., for this now. So and for this one, perhaps in the future, where there's all these kind of reunions for specific dates or albums, because many people expect that in some part of your life you return to Bornagar to play live presentation. Who knows? So perhaps
yeah,
you will reunion with Bornagar, or perhaps you will
yeah.
or you bring you up again, have a yacht with the second album, or who knows?
Mm. Yeah. No, I don't have I haven't closed any doors. For Borknagar, I mean, it would be really nice to go in and do one song or appear on the live situation, and just sing one song or something like that with a band. I'm still having really good relations with the band, and me and Øystein still have Cronin. I mean, we did 3 Cronin albums.
Mhm.
We haven't done any Cronin album now. I guess it's 10, 12 years or something like that. But we haven't said that it's a dead and buried project, but we haven't had the time to do anything about it in recent years. But we talked about it like I think it was like kind of 1 year ago, and it was like, yeah, we should really do something more with Cronin because it was really that was also really nice musical entity where it didn't sound as Borknagar, it didn't sound as Vintersorg, but you could feel that it had a little bit of both element, but still it was something different. And I would also like to explore that more. And but of course, it would be nice to do a song with Borknagar. That would be really nice. And we'll see in the future. We have a really good relation, no hard feelings. I left the band because they wanted to pace up and do a lot of touring. I didn't have the possibility back then, and I didn't want the band to hold them back in any sense because I had so much respect for the other guys, and I just needed to step down from that position back then. But of course, it would be nice to do some song with them on an occasional, I mean, live or on an album or something like that. I don't know. That would be nice, of course.
Mm, okay.
Yeah.
Well, another topic that I brings my topic in my mind with your answers. So yes, you have a unique voice into the metal industry. It's totally easy to recognize you if you play, for example,
Mhm.
like I said, if you play blues in the future, I will recognize that you play blues because your voice is
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah.
Your voice is so unique for every kind of style. So how do you maintain your voice after so many years playing the
Mm.
harsh elements with the black metal stuff and singing like lyric parts? It's many times difficult. And I saw some
Mm.
presentation live, and you will do amazing. So how do you maintain your voice after so many years and keeping going? I think you will continue growing your voice or evolution
Yeah.
your voice.
Yeah. Yeah. And performing live now, years back it was a bit more challenging. Nowadays I've been grown into it, so I can really shift from the very high pitch cleaning to the very growly in an instant of a second. And how to maintain? I just sing a lot. I sing. I also sing on a daily basis. I sing a lot at home. Ask my daughter.
Mhm.
uh, uh, we rehearse every week. I record vocals, not maybe every week, but very often. So and I love singing, and that's my passion. And so I don't have any special kind of medical stuff that I do that this is how you maintain your voice. I guess you should maintain it by using it. And I mean, the voice is kind of cliche to say it, but it's kind of a muscle. You need to kind of to keep it, yeah, in a good kind of manner. So a lot of singing is good for the singing.
Okay. Well, Andreas, we arrived to the sad moment of
Yep,
this interview. Thank you very much for your time. I'm a
yep,
huge fan for your music since since I heard your first album in 1998. I have all albums in my collection. This new album is
nice.
a great one as usually. And thank you very much for this one.
Yep.
Perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans with respect someday special dates, full tour, and obviously Metallerium followers.
Yeah, I would just say sorry, guys, that we haven't been on your in your country well in your countries that much. Hopefully, further on we could change that. But we have always had a kind of a good following from Latin America, so it's been I have a lot of still have a lot. Well, nowadays also a lot of communication with people from Latin America, so it's really passionate people, and I really love that. So hopefully we can do a little bit more shows in your area further on.